Cas Anvar. I play Altair in Assassin's Creed. I'm also currently in a TV series on Syfy channel called Olympus, which is airing on Thursdays now for another month or so. And upcoming new TV series called The Expanse, which is Syfy's big show. They're trying to bring out a big blockbuster to top the Battlestar Galactica franchise. And it's going to be airing starting in December, and everything looks amazing. We just shot the first season and all looks good. I've also done a few other video games, Halo 4, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, some TV series you may know on Syfy like Neverland, The Phantom. I was in Source Code, I was in Argo, The Terminal, Lost. I played Saeed's brother on Lost. And a bunch of other video games and TV shows and films, a little less. I was in Punisher as well, Punisher Warzone. So I'm here to fulfill all of your geeky question fantasies here. Anything you want to know about what I do or what I've done, or video games or acting or film, theater, comic book stuff. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Yeah, a lot of people ask about voice acting like it's a separate thing. Acting, like commercials, TVs, film, theater, voice, it's all acting. Rarely do we choose one branch of acting or another. Like most of us actors basically just say, I want to make a living doing this, I love acting. And then as we're going through it, some of us end up discovering that we are less popular in front of the camera, more popular behind the microphone. And we start making more money behind the microphone, and then gradually we just end up doing voice acting. But that's not how we started out. I personally started acting when I was 16. My English teacher threatened to fail me if I didn't audition for the play. So I showed up and auditioned for Hamlet, and then got the lead role, and have been acting ever since. And Shakespeare was a big part of my life for many, many years. And then I came to Los Angeles from Canada, which is where I was born, and I've been doing film and television since I got here. So, and voice just kind of came, like I got here, I was doing film and television, and then someone recommended me to a voice agent, and I went, they picked me up, and the first role I booked was Altair in Assassin's Creed, so I was pretty lucky. Yeah.
Can you tell me some stories, like interesting stories while you're voice acting for Altair? Interesting stories
voice acting for Altair. A lot of people don't know what's involved in voice acting, especially what it used to be like. It's gotten a lot, I won't say better, but it's gotten a lot easier in some ways. When I did Altair, they were just starting to do what they call facial capture. You guys have heard of full body motion capture? That's with all the dots on your suit. So the actor plays the movements as he's doing the voice, and then the computer captures all the movements because of the dots, and turns it into the character on the computer. Facial capture, they did kind of the same thing, but it was just the face. And back then, we had to wear this crazy ass bike helmet thing with a camera mounted to it like this. And the thing squished your head because it was such a tight strap. And then you had to wear a belt pack, which weighed about 15, 20 pounds. All these cables running to the computer. So you're acting with like all this weight and cable restricting you, and you're wearing a bike helmet, and you got a camera in front of you, and as you're moving, the camera's following you, and you got a microphone coming in like this, and then meanwhile, you've got a screen with all the lines scrolling. So, and then on top of all of that, there's no one else in the room with you, you're acting alone. So I'm doing my scene of, from Assassin's Creed Revelations, where, spoiler alert, for those of you who haven't played it, where the character who plays my wife, Maria, gets stabbed and dies in my arms, right? And obviously I have no one to act with, So I'm reading my lines on the screen with this helmet on. I'm getting a migraine, and they want to see my face acting out, and so I have to mime my poor wife dying as I go down to the ground, reading my lines over here and acting as I'm grieving over the death of my wife. So it was needless to say a very challenging experience. And at the end of each day, all of us would have like big headaches and be totally dehydrated while we're plowing through the acting of it. But it was fun. I mean, I have to say it was fun regardless. The other fun thing that, again, probably nobody knows, is one day is devoted to video games, is devoted completely to sounds. So I had 15 to 20 pages of dialogue that I took several days to do for the story part of the game. And then I had one day, I had like 25 pages of grunts, groans, oofs, thuds, gasps, drowning sounds, curses, whistles. He has to like, and then he's got to do that 5 different ways, and then we got to do the punch that kind of hurts. Then you got to do the punch that really knocks the wind out of you. Then you got to do the coming up from air, out of water. Even though I'll tell you I can't swim, I don't want to hear anyone make fun of me for that. But the greatest assassin cannot swim. He didn't need to. There's not a lot of water in the desert. But yeah, 15 pages of oofs, ergs, grunts, groans, acts. And by the end of it, believe it or not, I was absolutely exhausted, wasted, hyperventilated, dizzy, and sore because I was punching myself. Like I would literally, because I'd have to do he said, okay, we want a thing where you get thrown on your back. And I'm like, okay, well, you're gonna need to hear a thud of some kind. And so I'm like, ooh, oh. And then by the end of it, I'm like, my kidneys. So that's some of the fun stuff from Assassin's Creed. So any other questions? Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Can you tell us about your new project coming up?
Which one?
There's one that's being built is essentially the next battle.
Oh yeah, the Expanse. Yeah, absolutely. The Expanse, I have to say I'm absolutely in love with. I mean, big secret is I'm a huge geek and sci-fi kind of fan myself. I collected comic books and watched Star Trek and Star Wars and Blade Runner and Matrix. Like I devoured all of that stuff, and I played Dungeons and Dragons and played video games, and I did everything like that. So when I got cast as one of the leads in this, I kind of couldn't believe it, because the character I play, has anyone heard of The Expanse? Does anyone know The Expanse? Have you read the novels?
No.
So The Expanse is based on these novels by James S.A. Corey. It's kind of like Firefly meets Battlestar. It's dark, it's dangerous, it's brooding. It's got some dark comedy in it, and it's got an amazingly real world. Like, this is a science fiction world where they basically tell the story of what would it really be like if Earth had populated the solar system. We don't have artificial gravity. We don't have faster than light travel. The ships don't look like Corvettes and streamlined, like super sleek, gorgeous, because there's no air resistance in space. So they look like refrigerators with engines. They're giant bricks because all you have to do is build for efficiency. So this looks like what we would really be doing now. So when you're traveling from one place to the other, it takes an incredibly long ass time to get there. We have to, in order to not spend years in space to travel from Earth to Mars. And my character is a Martian. He's born on Mars. You guys know about this whole Martian thing where there's like these people in a lottery right now? Real life. There's like 1,000 people trying to get on the next spaceship that's going to Mars. As a one-way ticket. They're gonna pick 20 people to go to Mars.
They already picked 5.
They picked 5?
They picked 5.
These people are never coming back. They're going to Mars to colonize it. And once they get there, they're not coming back to a planet with no atmosphere and no food and nothing. They're gonna bring everything with them, and they're gonna try and colonize it, and they all know they're going one way. It's crazy. But this TV show, or this novel that we were in, is basically that. It's like my character is a descendant of those people. And this was written 5 or 6 years ago, so it was before this even existed, so it's very realistic. So my guy, in our world, the Martians were made of East Indians, Asians, and Texans. Those are the people crazy enough, stupid enough, wild enough, and driven enough to go to Mars and stay there and try and turn it into a livable planet. So my character is an East Indian fighter pilot named Alex Kamal, who speaks with a Texas accent. Because we all kind of blended. We're several hundred years on Mars now. There's actually about 5 million people populating Mars. And there's big dome cities, and they're trying to build an atmosphere, and everyone's kind of committed and focused to this world vision. And the culture's all kind of blended. So you've got East Indians with a southern drawl. And the story itself is amazing. I can't give you all the spoilers about it, but you can just read the books if you want. But it's basically what would happen if we all moved out there, and then there's this secret conspiracy. Some people we don't know who they are, trying to start a war between Earth, Mars, and the Belters. The Belters are this whole race of people that have started mining the asteroid belts in zero gravity. They've changed shape because there's no gravity. They're long and skinny and thin-boned. They can't even survive on Earth anymore because the gravity would crush them. And there's like all this tension building, and someone's trying to start a war for some reason. And then there's a detective story. The detective is played by Thomas Jane. You guys know Thomas Jane? He played the Punisher. He was in the TV show Hung. It's a great actor. He plays Detective Miller, and he's chasing after this missing girl, and somehow this girl ends up caught up in this whole conspiracy, and he's trying to find her and save her. Our ship is kind of like Firefly. It's like me, the captain, this muscle guy named Amos, played by Wes Chatham from Hunger Games, and I'm the pilot. And then there's a girl, her name is Naomi, played by Dominique Tipper, and she's kind of like Zoe from Firefly. So you've got like I said, Firefly meets Battlestar Galactica. It's really, really cool. And San Diego Comic-Con, we're going to do a huge, huge, huge reveal. If you guys are planning to go to San Diego, there's going to be a lot to see there. They're doing some really cool shit. So, is that enough Expanse talk? Yeah. You had a question?
Your ethnic background is obviously a factor in your casting.
Yeah.
Have you found any prejudice in the industry that would affect you?
I've been very fortunate. I mean, in the voice acting world, it's actually kind of cool because it doesn't affect my casting. I will get more Middle Eastern and East Indian roles because I can do good accents. But in the voice acting world, actually, they're pretty not racist. They just basically care that you can do good accents and good voices. But in the real world, yeah, hell yeah. I mean, I'm lucky because I was born in Canada, so I don't have an accent. And my looks help me in that I can pass for East Indian, I can pass for Middle Eastern, I've passed for Puerto Rican, I've passed for Italian and Neverland, I can do Greek, I can do Israeli, I can do even certain parts of France. So I was able, without the accent, I speak a lot of different languages. I speak French and English and Persian and Arabic and Hindi and Spanish. So I was able to actually do that. But that being said, yeah, it took me years and years and years to get my agents to force people to see me for things other than the terrorist. Because that's all really I would get called for, is like, oh, we've got the 7-Eleven owner, or we've got the terrorist, or we've got the abusive Middle Eastern husband or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I can do that, it's a paycheck, but I can do a lot of other things too. And eventually my agent started fighting and I started booking those roles, and then they started seeing, oh yeah, that's totally believable. Why weren't we bringing him in? It helps not to have an accent, like I would be honest. Because a lot of my colleagues who are in my casting, who I end up seeing as my competition, they all have accents, so they don't get to go for the more generic roles, because they haven't lost their accents yet. So, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of prejudice. I mean, it's not just racism though. It's like women, ageism, like brilliant actresses going in for a role, and they're like, one friend of mine was going in for a role. She was supposed to be the lover or the girlfriend of this guy who was 50 something, and she was 31. And they're like, yeah, no, she's too old to play this guy who's 55, because that's Hollywood, right? Hollywood is like sexy, hot, young girl. No matter how old the guy is, it's got to be like someone who looks like she's 28. And it's like, so there's a lot of those kinds of prejudices built into the system, which is all about money. It's like, and we just have to fight them as actors. We just have to fight them, and we gotta change how they think. So that's what I'm trying to do, bit by bit, piece by piece. Yes, sir.
What are your thoughts on live action Assassin's Creed?
My thoughts on live action Assassin's Creed, the Michael Fassbender movie that you're talking about? Huge fan of Michael Fassbender, amazing actor. So that excites me, that he's taking on the lead. I was surprised, I'm not sure if I'm disappointed yet, but I was surprised that they chose to write a script that doesn't have any of the original characters in it. There's no Ezio, there's no Altair, there's no Connor, there's nothing. It's a brand new era. I assume it's pre-Altair. It's before Altair. It's set in Spain. So I think it's kind of the people who were Al-Mualim's mentors, from Spain. So it's in the same way like Altair was in the 12th century, Ezio was in the 16th century, 17th century. There's going to be somebody before Altair, like in the 10th century, 11th century, and that's what the movie's going to be about.
So the question I follow is, they could ask you to partake in any part of the movie, even just to help with guidance.
I don't think they'll ask me for guidance. I mean, they got Ubisoft for that, but I would love to do a cameo in that movie. That's like my dream. I've been putting that out on my Twitter saying, tell them to put me in the movie. I want to be in the movie. So my manager, my agents have been kind of flirting and courting them, trying to get them to put, the voice of Altair in the movie as a cameo. It won't be as Altair unless they're doing some flash forwards. But there's going to be other assassins in there. There's going to be mentors. There's going to be different characters. It's going to be set in Spain, and I can pass easily for Spanish because I've got some Spanish in my blood. So I would love that. Go ahead.
So, how did you come across the audition to the voice acting job of Altair for Assassin's Creed?
How did I what?
How did your name come across the gig for voice acting?
I mean, I get auditions for voices now. Like every week you get like half a dozen voices, and they get flooded with people for requests, and then they have to decide. Okay, we're going to send this guy out for this. We're going to send this guy out for this. We're going to send this guy out for this, and they got this thing. I was brand new on their roster, and the first thing they get is Middle Eastern actors wanted for video game who could do an accent, and I was like, oh, send your accent for that, boom. The beauty of this one was that most of the time I do my auditions from home, videotape, or audio tape on my iPhone. I set up a little sound studio like with walls. It's a great microphone on here. It's actually better than those big ones. And then I email it to my agent, and they send it in. This particular one, I guess because it's Ubisoft, they want to have the actor in the studio. And so I went in, and when you're going in, I was not auditioning for Assassin's Creed. I was auditioning for Legends of the Sahara or something is what they called it. Code name.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like a sequel or prequel for Prison.
I don't know what it was. And then, but I didn't audition for the first Assassin's Creed. I auditioned for Revelations. So there were three Assassin's Creeds before already in existence. So they knew this was Assassin's Creed. They just gave it a code name because they don't want anyone knowing. And I get in there, and I'm not auditioning for Altair. I'm auditioning for Hassan or something like that. So then I get in there, and I start auditioning for this character, and I actually think I auditioned for, do you know the Dark Knight character in Revelations? Remember that guy who betrays Altair, and he's got this cool black armor, and Altair jumps and squishes him. And then the last thing he has is this, those those moments where there's a dead character, dying character, and they go into that flash dimension zone and they have a talk before the character dies. And so you have the Black Knight kind of wiggling around because he just got his entire body squished. I think I auditioned for that character. I think that's the lines I had, I can't remember. And then I get a call saying, oh, you're playing a role called Altair, and the game is actually called Assassin's Creed. And I went, what? And I start Googling it. I'm like, holy crap, this is like a lead role in the game. And then I go in there, and I can't even get the script. They don't even give me the script until the day before because they don't release that information. It's all secret. Like when I auditioned for Black Ops, for Call of Duty, it was called Eclipse. And they wouldn't even give me the name of the character. So it's very, very secretive. Video games, they've got billions of dollars of revenue riding on these things, so they treat it like national security.
So the reason they do that for like one thing for video games is like, for instance, the Fallout video game series, like people like, I found what part of the issue was might have been voice acting might not actually work in the game. Someone had like released something about the game online a few days ago, and they fired him. But then since he's not at Target anymore, he just released like 10 times more information.
Yeah, no, they. I don't know which developer that was, but Activision, they have a whole team of lawyers trolling the internet for any mention of the games. And then if they find out one of their employees is tweeting or whatever, I was at a party, I was out at a bar or something like that, having a drink, and I had a really good year because I had just done Halo, Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, all in like a 12-month period, and I was about to do another one. And so I just tweeted, having a good year, and then I said hashtag AC Halo, hashtag AC, hashtag Halo, hashtag COD. That's all I said, having a good year in gaming, and I hashtagged the 3 games. Call of Duty hadn't come out yet, the one I was in. Black Ops 2 had not come out yet. 2 weeks later, my agent calls me, she goes, you're about to get sued. And I go, what's going on? She goes, apparently you tweeted something about the game. And I'm like, I did what? And then I went back in my tweets and I saw that, and I'm like, are they kidding me? I hashtagged COD, that's all I did. So just telling my fans that I'm in the game, no description of the story, whatever, triggered the legal department to come after me. So I went back, I deleted the tweet, it was 2 weeks old, and then they called back and said, okay, everything's good. Crazy.
What's your next project?
Video games or TV or... I've recently done 2 video games. They haven't come out yet, though. One's called Command and Conquer, and one was called End of Nations. We have a lawyer in the audience here, and I think End of Nations is kind of a StarCraft style thing, except instead of different races, it's all the different countries. It's like a futuristic kind of thing, where you have different countries or groupings of countries that are fighting, kind of like Risk, but StarCraft style. And Command and Conquer is Command and Conquer from the board game. So that's where I got to play some fun voices. So yeah, I love doing video games though because I get to play any kind of character. As long as I can voice it, I can do it. So it's nice.
I was really able to do one of the voices, or one of the lines from Assassin's Creed.
From Assassin's Creed Revelation. Some of my favorite lines, one of my favorite lines, my mentor, Al Mualim, asks me, after I killed the Dark Knight, said, why did you speak to him and talk to him? And Altair says, no man should go through life without knowing some kindness. And another one of my lines, that when he was screaming at the Black Knight, you will never leave here alive, traitor. I like that one as well, because he was really upset. And I'm trying to remember. There's some stuff he was, and when he's 80 years old, or 70 or 80 years old, and he's sitting around the campfire, And there's all these people who don't know it's Altair, and they're talking about Abbas, and they're making fun of Abbas. And Abbas is Altair's old friend that's turned into a bit of a dick. And he's kind of taking the Assassin's Creed in a bad direction, taking the Brotherhood in a bad direction, and there's people bad-mouthing him. And he says, "Pity Abbas, do not mock him. It is not his fault." And so I kind of like that aspect of Altair. He's a very wise, forgiving soul. I mean, he even, I won't say he forgave, but he even like put vengeance out of his mind when Abbas killed his son. And his wife calmed him down because he wanted to go and exact his revenge on him. And his wife calmed him down and said, we don't do revenge. And he goes, you're right. Let's just go and see what happens. So those are kind of the lines that I really like from the show.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Assassin's Creed.
Me too. Yes, sir.
What roles you ever played that you had the most creative freedom to go in and shape that character?
You guys ever see Neverland? Anyone see Neverland with the prequel to Peter Pan? I played a character named Gentleman Starkey. The original Gentleman Starkey, Hook, comes from Britain, London. The original Gentleman Starkey, the reason they call him Gentleman Starkey is because he was a very posh, very rich, aristocratic British guy who ended up as a pirate because, I don't know, he fell from grace in the London social circles, but he dressed like a dandy, and he dressed really fancy, and he had a real stiff upper lip, and he was really snobby and kept his nose in the air. So they hired an actor, powerhouse actor named Rhys Ifans to play Hook. And Rhys, I don't know if you guys saw Spider-Man with the lizard.
Oh, the first one.
Not the first one, the one with the lizard.
Yeah, the first one.
That's Rhys Ifans. I don't think it was the first one. The first one was with the Green Goblin.
No, the first was a reboot.
Oh, the first reboot. Yeah, the first reboot.
The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, that guy, with the missing Kurt Connors, that's Rhys Ifans.
Yeah.
Amazing actor. So he's playing Hook, and he's playing Hook as a gentleman, British aristocrat who fell from grace and turned into a pirate because he hated the British aristocracy so much that he decided to exact his revenge and be a criminal. So they didn't want to have Gentleman Starkey be the same as Hook, another character that's just like Hook. So he was trying to find in London somebody who could play a different version of this Gentleman Starkey, which is Hook's right-hand man, kind of. It's like the comic foil. And they auditioned 100 British people, and they couldn't find it. Finally, the producer who I'd worked with before recommended me, and so I got to create this character. Because I didn't audition for the role. They just offered it to me. And so I'm literally offered the role 2 days before we start shooting. I'm on the plane emailing the director, and he's going, I'm thinking maybe he's Spanish or Italian or maybe East Indian. I'm like, how the hell did this guy get on the ship? He goes, well, they're pirates. They go through the Caribbean. They go through and they pick up all these different races. He goes, you tell me. So I went in and I'm like, okay, I'm looking, and I tried accents and I tried things. And we landed in Italy. That's where my plane landed. And we were supposed to shoot in Dublin, but we had a week to do in Italy for all the piracy, the on-deck pirate ship stuff. There's a real pirate ship in Italy, in Genoa. So we used that for a week. When I got to the airport, I got in the taxi and I said, take me to the hotel. And I asked the driver, I said, how far is the hotel from the airport? And the taxi driver looks back at me and goes, well, I think it's about 10 minutes. And I said, what? He goes, it's about 10 or 20 minutes. And I'm like, I think that's Gentleman Starkey. And so by the time I got home, I'm already going, hey, my name is Gentleman Starkey, and I think he's going to be an Italian pirate, and he talks like this. We're going to go and we're going to be taking care of Peter Pan in about 10 minutes. So when I got to the rehearsals, I said, I think we're Italian. And I see him as this character who's completely vain, and all the other pirates are disgusting and covered in grime. He cleans up every day. He wipes himself down, shaves his mustache super thin, has a nice little goatee, and pointy little sideburns and keeps his hair in a ponytail. I think he's like super prim and proper. And so I really got to completely create that character from scratch. So that was a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite projects. So, who's next? Anything else?
If you could pick, and like, do you have a personal like pet project that you really want to do, or like some existing property that you want to be a part of?
I mean, Assassin's Creed, the movie, is definitely something I want to be part of. I would love to be an integral part of a Marvel action movie, comic book movie. Like Avengers or X-Men would be my favorite. If we could do it.
Do you have like a specific character that you want to play, or just anything?
They've all been done. All the ones I mean, Wolverine's my favorite character. I would love to do Gambit, but they've got that one cast. Bastards. He's done?
Yeah, he said it's Wolverine's.
Okay, man. Okay, give you 10% if I get it. Yeah, Gambit's good. I wanted to do Nightcrawler because I've always loved that character, you know? But I'm not a huge fan of putting on all that prosthetics every day. Because Nightcrawler is such a crazy character, it's all gonna be CGI anyway, so it's not gonna be a lot of fun to play. It's kind of like the Beast, you know? Kelsey Grammer played the Beast. Very little of that was him. A lot of it was just a CGI computer-generated Beast with a couple of close-ups on him. Just trying to think if there's any other characters. Doctor Strange. I could kind of look do Doctor Strange. Not the most interesting character on paper. Like he doesn't have a lot of personality on the page. He's incredibly powerful and cool, but I'd probably maybe do like Robert Downey Jr. on that one and kind of create something really interesting about him. Like what he did with Tony Stark. You know, I really love what Robert Downey did with Tony Stark. Made him a real prick. Little playboy, super intelligent, arrogant. It was really good. So yeah, actually, you know what? I would. That would be a great role. You know who I would like to play? Ra's al Ghul. I auditioned for Ra's al Ghul for Arrow. And I have to say, it was good. Because I did the whole shave, and I did the whole outfit, and I did the whole hair, and I looked just like the guy. And I put silver in the beard. But they ended up hiring some Australian guy. Because he's a Middle Eastern character, actually. Ra's al Ghul is actually part Middle Eastern. So that's a character I would love to play. So unless it's playing with Liam, I have nothing to say against Liam Neeson. He's a god. So Liam can play a Middle Eastern role, and I'll give it to him.
I think it's just for the Ra's al Ghul characters that you see them portrayed. Which one do you think? I can't remember what you pulled it off.
I've only seen Liam. Who else has played it?
The guy that got for Arrow.
Oh, I haven't seen him yet.
I've seen that. It's
Not bad? Okay.
There's the voice actor from the original animated series too.
Oh yeah. You never know what that guy looks like though.
Yeah, no.
That guy could be like a 5-foot Jewish bald guy. You know, it could be anybody. Like I don't. Have you guys ever seen Roger Craig Smith, who plays Ezio? Hilarious guy. He's an amazing actor, but couldn't be further from Ezio. He's like a super funny, good-looking guy, but he's like a shorter guy. He's a stand-up comic, and he does the best voices. Like his voices are spectacular. I worship that guy's voice. Yeah, you never know what you're getting with voice actors. The guy who plays Archer.
Oh yeah.
You know. Not a big beefy spy at all. Great voice though. But yeah. Wolverine, Ra's al Ghul, Nightcrawler, Spider-Man. Would never turn down Spider-Man. You know, if they're gonna offer me the role, sure, but that's not something I would jump at. Cyclops, I like quirky characters. I like characters with an edge. Cyclops is like Captain America. It's a hard kind of, that kind of straight and narrow kind of thing doesn't get my engines going. You know, Chris does a great Captain America though, Chris Evans. He's funny because he's so nerdy, he's so dorky, because he's so good. You know, like even when he swears, that was hilarious in the last language. Yes.
From all your roles, do you enjoy more playing more of the good guy or the villain character, like the bad guys or the anti-villains?
It's a good question because the only thing is I've had to play a lot of bad characters because that just was the casting that got thrown my way. So I'm kind of dying to play the good character. That's why I'm so excited about the Expanse, because I get to play like a hero. I get to play the fighter pilot that, you know, pilots everyone to safety and shoots all the bad guys. And I love it, and it's a great character, and he's funny, but I have to say the bad guys are so much more interesting. They're so much more juicy, and like my guy in Olympus, he's awesome. He's like a sleazy little manipulative politician that's backstabbing everybody and trying to kill the king and the queen. Yeah. And so it's just delicious to play those characters. But I've just done so many of them that I'm now really chomping at the bit to play the hero. So once I've done a few of those, then I'll be back to the bad guys.
Actually, I do have one question. What's the worst role you've ever played? Voice acting or
Worst role I've ever played.
everybody has that.
Oh, I did an episode of NCIS Los Angeles. The script was just, I mean, I'll be honest, it was just really kind of racist. I played a character from Iraq, Taliban guy that was in a suit and tie chasing after these Middle Eastern people that had fled Iraq and were hiding in LA, and I'm coming there to kill them because they betrayed the Taliban in Iraq by sheltering an American soldier. And so we are gonna hunt them down and execute them in America because that's how bad we are. A couple of peasants flee to Los Angeles and we're gonna go and shoot them. And it was just so overwritten and so hokey and so unrealistic, and I kind of felt badly actually when I was doing the role. I kind of felt like I needed a shower afterwards. So, but yeah. Yes, sir.
Which role was the most human that was portrayed or did voice acting for?
Voice acting only,
Or just
TV and
acting as well?
I mean, Altair is the best voice acting. I got to do some really subtle, emotional stuff with him. On TV, probably there was a show called In Plain Sight. I don't know if you guys seen that. It's kind of a witness protection program. And I got to play this guy who was a really arrogant prick doctor in India, an Indian doctor who's, I think he abused his wife somehow, and then she wanted a divorce, and then he realized how horrible he'd been, and he just broke down and begged his wife for forgiveness, and that was a really vulnerable, difficult role. And at the time that I was shooting that, my girlfriend had just broken up with me, and I was like in major pain and agony, and so I was using all of that in the role, so that's probably it. Anybody else? You got about 5 more minutes.
Growing up, what were your little geek guilty pleasures?
Growing up, years of Dungeons and Dragons. Locked in my basement with my friends with the little lead figurines. Dungeon Master's guy. I loved it. And video games. Like, my mom had to come and get me like at 3 a.m. and kick my ass to get me to bed because I'd be playing video like way back before consoles, like before I was doing PC games like crazy. I don't know if you guys remember King Quest. Awesome. King Quest 1, 2, 3, 4. Space Quest. Okay, we won't.
It's supposed to be coming back.
Space Quest. I heard about that.
Space Quest and King's Quest.
It's a great game. I hope they don't ruin it. Because I would play that on the floppy disks again. It was so much fun. Making spells and all that. It's cool.
Actually, so you said that you have the Altair downstairs.
Yeah. I actually have it downstairs on my
Right. Have
desk.
you ever worn it, shown it to an assassin gathering, and wondered if anybody would recognize it?
I've worn it once, and it was at an Assassin's Gathering.
Did anybody recognize it?
Yeah, they knew who I was. I was there for a photo op, so I've only worn it once.
Would you do it again without saying anybody that you're Just to see if anybody recognizes.
Maybe, yeah, that might be fun. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
It's coming up.
Oh yeah? When is that?
It's here in the Olympic Center.
It's worth my weekend.
Yeah. It's actually the 4th of July. Yeah.
You should hit me up on Twitter and remind me, and I have a guy who does all that stuff for me and gets me into all those things, and maybe I will. Might be fun. Yes, sir.
So since you're the original assassin, what's your personal view on the installments after you no longer were?
After the Ezio Altair quadrilogy?
Yeah, when you stopped.
I'm a huge fan of Assassin's Creed franchise. It's one of the best stories, best gameplay, best mythology. And for me, what makes that franchise so impeccable compared to other games is the attention to detail they pay to the historical reality that the worlds they put their characters in, and just the characters themselves and the story that they take the characters on. I felt the first 4 episodes, AC1, AC2, Brotherhood, and Revelations, were amazing. I was a little bit disappointed when we went to the American Revolution. I know a lot of people like that now. It's weird. The whole AC3 thing, it started off with a fizzle, because I watched that stuff being part of the franchise. It wasn't hugely popular when it came out. People were but then at the second year, it started, and now Connor is like one of the most loved assassins out of the group, and he wasn't when it came out. I personally was loving the more exotic locations and things I'd never heard of before, and so I'd wish they'd gone to China or to Egypt or. I saw that. It's a different kind of game though.
It's a Chronicles.
Yeah, Chronicles.
I haven't. It's a 2.5D. It gives you an impression of 3D, but it's not.
Yeah. It's more like an arcade game.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like on the PSP type thing. But I would love to see something exotic like that, or India. I was kind of surprised when I saw an Indian assassin in the trailer for Syndicate. I don't know if you guys saw that. There's an East Indian British assassin in assassin's garb in the pub. And I was like, oh damn, they got an Indian guy as the lead. And I'm like, that's so cool. And then he's just like a non-player character, just one flash. Black Flag, I thought, was a spectacular pirate game. Great gameplay, great visuals, stunning. I just didn't feel it was a spectacular Assassin's Creed story. It didn't have the fucking layers and story and backstory, but it was just a great pirate game. And then Unity, I thought, got a little more back to it. I thought Unity was a bit cooler, had a lot of layers, a lot of character, a more exotic location. And now Syndicate, I think. I don't know. I haven't played Rogue. I don't know what Rogue is on.
Rogue was fun. It was short but fun.
Yeah.
Rogue says in it goes in chronological order. It goes Rogue, it goes Black Flag, Rogue, and Assassin's Creed.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh okay. It's between Connor and Cameron.
What I want is 3 Black Flag, Unity, and Liberations all time, because Connor's Liberation for a minute or two. But
Very good friend of mine is in Amber Goldfarb, who plays Evelyn the Grand Prix.
yeah, so
She's my buddy from
So
Toronto.
what happened was after they did the Ezio trilogy, they don't want to do a single assassin trilogy anymore. They want to go with family. So what they did was they had Connor, which is the grandson for Edward, and then we already know what happened with Haytham in the beginning of the game. So they made there was 3, then it was Black Flag, and then after Black Flag came out.
Cool. That's Shay, right? Is it Rob?
Yeah, Shane.
Very cool. So, and then I think Syndicate, it looks like it's going to be back on track in terms of the stuff that I loved about the original 4 games. I think Syndicate looks really cool. So I don't know. I mean, you do video game. It's like if you're doing films or television shows. It's like as creators, you want to experiment. You want to try new things. You don't want to repeat yourself over and over and over again. So you try new things. Sometimes it works great. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes these people love that, and those people hate it, and you can't please everybody all the time, right? But that's my personal opinion. Is like I like where they're going now. It seems like they're going back to the old kind of format, which I love. So I think that's all the time we have, guys. I've got a signing table downstairs. I've got all my stuff there. I got my signing cards. I got these really cool Assassin's Creed stuff if you guys want souvenirs. I'll be doing autographs down there once I'm back there. And I invite you all to come and join me. I'd be happy to see you and talk one-on-one with you. Okay, thank you for coming, guys. Great questions, by the way. I wasn't expecting to go the whole hour, so you guys did great. I appreciate it. Safety and peace.